Today, I've got a real treat for you guys. I'm going to be showing you the live student interview that I did with one of my Smashers Academy students. But this isn't any normal interview. This is a 10K club member interview. So the student in question, named Sam, started the academy in June of this year. She started selling in September and she reached that mega milestone of £10,000 just 6 weeks later. So I did a live student interview with all of my other students. I asked questions, my student asked questions. So there really is no stone left unturned in this session. So I really hope that you enjoy it, guys. If you do want to join sessions like this or be mentored by me in the future, all you have to do is click the link in the description box below. Enjoy. Now it is here, the main event. It's what we're all here for. So we're going to do a student interview with Sam now, who a lot of you know and love. She's a very active member of the community. And before we do dive in, before we bring her in, I wanted to show you guys this image. I did a very similar image in the first week of the Smasher School, and I've done it on the webinar as well, for those of you that have seen the webinar, where I basically showed my first post in the group and the point that I was at now. And I wanted to do this for Sam as well, to first of all highlight why it's important to get that first post in to the group so you can go back and look at it and remember, the goals you set, the reasons you started to ensure you keep going, and also just to see how far you've come. So, I think everyone will agree with me that Sam has just smashed it. She's a true smasher. She started in June. You can see a post on the left here, her opening post, and you can see her today, November 2020, with a 10K award, which is fantastic. So I'm now going to bring Sam in, if you just bear with me. Okay, I think we're all good. So Sam, thank you for coming on. Before we kind of run through questions of, Amazon FBA and all that jazz, I think it'd be really helpful to maybe the people that don't interact so much in the group, or just haven't seen much of your story. It'd be great for you to give us a brief snapshot of where you came from, how you got into Amazon FBA, and just a bit of background to yourself.
Yeah, so I worked for 20 odd years in the corporate world. So I worked for Barclays as a project manager. Knew that that wasn't what I wanted to do long term. So then changed careers completely and became an estate agent for a couple of years. But going from the corporate world to an estate agent, the money was just rubbish. And I kind of thought, you know what, I want to do something for myself that gives me the flexibility to still be able to take the kids to school, pick the kids up, but something that's mine, something that I can develop and grow and scale up. And so that's when I started to have a look to see what opportunities were out there. Came across FBA, looked at things, looked at different videos and looked at things like the Freedom Ticket on Helium 10, which was quite good, but it was very much geared towards the American market. And then I came across your videos, and I just thought they were so straightforward, so honest, and so engaging that I thought, yeah, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. And had you kind of heard about Amazon FBA before then? Like, last year, obviously you probably knew and loved Amazon, but did you know that what this Amazon FBA beast was? Because it surprises me that very, very few people really relatively outside of our little bubble know about Amazon FBA.
You know what? Not really. Obviously, I bought lots of things myself as a buyer through Amazon, but I suppose I always assumed that Amazon was just big businesses. I never really considered that the people behind the products were people like us. So no, not really. It wasn't something that I'd really known very much about before.
Yeah. And had you ever kind of considered, I guess having your own brand of products and things? Because I don't know if your experience is the same as mine. I remember like just looking at private label products and not really seeing it as that, just seeing it as, oh, it's a big corporation's product. It's probably owned by someone like Sony or Microsoft, someone somewhere. I never really thought it could be people just like you or I that could own products like that.
Definitely. No, it wasn't something that I really thought would be possible.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Great. So was it in terms of Amazon FBA then? Was that what was the reason that that appealed to you more so than another business model? You know, selling products online like drop shipping or just I guess selling products on eBay. Was there anything that kind of stuck out for you?
I mean, I'd kind of bought and sold a little bit on eBay, but it wasn't something. I think what appealed with FBA is the fact that once it's up and running, it is quite passive and you can just get on with your day and do other
Yeah.
things. And FBA just carries on working for you. That's the beauty of it, really. I think there is a lot of work up front, but once you've got your product and you've kind of nailed your PPC and you've got a nice daily routine, I think that it just flows really nicely and it does allow you time to do other things if that's what you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think. Yeah, spot on. That's definitely. I mean, that was the highlight for me, really. The most attractive thing, and kind of just having that safety blanket of the additional money. What do you just out of interest? Because I know you did a post in the group where you did a selfie with your mate and saying, "Oh, she's fed up of me banging on about Amazon FBA all the time and stuff like that." I mean, what do you know what your friends and family's like perception of you selling online is? Because I mean, it took a long time for me to kind of convince my parents that what I was doing was quite legit. I think they thought I was some sort of bellboy selling, stuff out the back of a van. But have you found that the same, or was that your perception as well of people that sold online before you kind of saw it properly?
I think because obviously it's a job that you're doing from home and I'm still able to do lots of other things. I don't know if they think that I'm putting a lot of effort in. So I tell them about it,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
think they see it as a bit of an easy number, really. They're going out to do their day jobs and working really hard, coming home absolutely shattered. And I've had a lovely day because I
You're there
really,
like hands behind your head, like
I just don't see it as work. It takes probably an hour of my time a day, and that's, kind of stretching it out, really. So,
yeah, yeah.
great.
I think we can well, let's cover like kind of day-to-day stuff in a bit. I think what would be helpful for everyone watching now and other people watching the recording later is to understand your timeline in a bit more detail. So obviously we saw your first post, which was back in June, and it would have taken you X amount of time to go through the materials. But can you kind of just give us a step-by-step like breakdown of zero to hero being when you're starting to sell?
Yeah, so I joined the course on the 16th of June. So that's when I took out the subscription, worked through the material quite quickly because I think I think once you've made that decision and that commitment that you're going to pay the money for the course, you're kind of in it then. Well, for
Yeah.
me, I was like, right, I'm going to do this. And so I put time aside to get through the material quite quickly and to try and absorb all the information as quickly as I could. And like probably everybody, you're just then keen to try and find a product quickly. You're really motivated and you just want to get going. And
Mm,
frustration obviously is the product research. But when I was looking, I followed the course guidelines. So I was using the software. So I was using Helium 10, Black Box, keywords within Helium 10.
mm,
I wasn't relying on that. I was looking at things like Etsy, Pinterest, going on to Alibaba, looking at what was trending. So I wasn't kind of getting bogged down with the product research. So I did manage to find my product quite quickly, albeit at the time I was kind of thinking, oh, I'm not sure if this is the right product. But I thought, no, I'm gonna go with it. Did all my
yeah,
analysis. Um, and it wasn't a perfect product by any means, but I did my analysis and went through things like the SWOT analysis. So looked at the strengths, looked at the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats, and weighed it all up. So that was kind of probably the back end of June that all that was going on, and then
yeah. Had you,
I,
sorry, had you heard of the SWOT analysis before?
yeah, because
Yeah,
my background as a project manager, that's something that I had come across before. So, doing
yeah,
the due diligence was something that was. quite familiar to work through that process. And
Yeah,
I
it was one of the few things I learned at uni that's actually come in useful. That so as soon as I thought, the usefulness of it, I was like, I'm going to teach it you guys. So, but yeah, anyway, sorry to interrupt. Carry
I
on.
think I think with the SWOT analysis, it's easy to see the good in a product because you want to see the good. But I think
Mm.
you've got to be realistic as well and look at it as a whole.
Yeah, it
Um,
forces you to consider the weaknesses, the threat, like rather than just kind of looking at it with rose-tinted spectacles and being like, "This is an amazing product. There's nothing wrong with it." It really makes you drill down and think of every single angle. So it's definitely something that I do on every single product, and I encourage everyone else to do as well when researching.
But I think also when you find in the weaknesses and the threats, if you can try and then balance the strengths and the opportunities and think, actually, I can counter that, then you don't
Yeah,
have to dismiss a product necessarily because there are things that you can do to differentiate or to make your product stand out. So there isn't a perfect product, but there are products that you can find that you can improve.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, going back to the timeline. So then in July, I think it was, I then started to talk to suppliers and get some samples sent. So I used an agent to consolidate about 5 or 6 samples, I think it was, which helped when it came to shipping. It kept the cost down. Got my samples back, and I was quite disappointed with some of them because the quality just wasn't
Mm,
there. And so I'm really glad that I didn't put all my eggs in one basket and just approach 1 or even 2 suppliers. So I would say if you are getting some samples, just maybe get quite a few so you can test the quality and don't just go with one. So that was in I think the probably early July, and then I took a little bit of time just to test the product just to make
mm,
sure I was happy with it and then place the order. So once the order was placed, I then started to create my brand. So I had very much a brand in mind of how I wanted my brand and all my packaging to look. So I did all of that. And then I think it was the start of August, or was it September? No, it was early August that the product then went into production. I remember actually because I was on holiday at the time. I was in
oh yeah, I
Malta.
remember you managed to just escape, didn't you, following the lockdown or
Yeah,
something? I
yeah.
remember
So
thing you
I was on
told.
holiday, which was amazing to be sat on the phone, place the order with the supplier, got my order into production, and then it arrived into Amazon, got all checked in, and on the 16th of September, so exactly 3 months from when I signed up onto the course, I started selling. So it was amazing. 3 months.
Awesome. I mean, I think yeah, you've smashed it in terms of the timeline. I think you did it quicker than I did and quicker than many other people. I mean, do you do you think there's a reason for that? How you managed to do it so quickly? Do you think it's your maybe attitude to risk, your project management experience of having multiple kind of work streams going on at the same time? Like, is there a secret to it? Because as I say, I didn't do it, and I think it'd be great to understand if there was maybe a thought process behind getting your ducks in a row.
I think it's probably a little bit of everything, really, what you've just covered. I think the fact that in my previous job as a project manager, I was quite used to kind of spinning lots of plates at the same time, which I think with FBA there is an awful lot to be thinking about.
Mm.
Um, I made sure that I did something every day, and kind of gained the knowledge and kept absorbing information and just trying to learn as much as I could, really. So I think once the ball had started to roll on the process, everything just kind of happened quite organically, really.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I think that I didn't think the product was perfect, but I was willing to take a risk on it. And I thought, well, I've got this, chunk of capital. This is what I'm going to put into this process. I'm going to try my absolute best. If it doesn't work, then I've tried. So I was probably quite open to risk with it, and luckily it has paid off.
yeah. I think it's a great mindset to have. It's the mindset of an entrepreneur, really, because any business opportunity that you do is always going to involve some form of risk. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. So you found the product after, so much time, and you said it wasn't the perfect product, but one of the big things that I teach about, and one of the big things that that you need to do in not just Amazon FBA, but any business, is to look for ways to stand out, to differentiate, and help yourself to, be picked out from the crowd. So what kind of thought process did you run there in terms of differentiation? Like, how did you think about it? How did you approach it?
So my product is in quite a competitive niche, well, a highly competitive niche. If you do a search for my product, like the main keyword has 75,000 searches a month. So it just shows that I was going into a competitive niche, but there's such a range of prices on this product that I knew that I wanted to feature my product at the top end. So in order to
Yeah,
do that, I knew that I needed to make it stand out. Firstly, on the front page, the first image, because that's what we all see the first time we search for a product. I had to make sure that my listing was spot on, my pictures were spot on, all my bullet points. Um, and so in my mind, I had this idea of what my brand was going to be and what my packaging was going to look like. And I think that stood me in good stead, because all of those things together has helped for me to rank my product and
yeah.
to consistently stay well ranked.
Yeah, and I think, that's really important to say, because I think sometimes some people can overthink the differentiation point and be like, I need to bundle absolutely everything I can into it and, change the actual product itself. When really it can just be lots of little different things added together. So, like you said, like having an amazing listing, having a different main image to everybody else, the UK company angle, as I've mentioned many, many times now, is a massive one. You mentioned that on your listing, don't you? You've got a UK picture.
Yeah, I've got a little UK flag on my front picture. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I know that works for a fact because I get comments and reviews. In fact, I think Matt, I'm not sure if he's on, was talking about this, about the so saying the made in China. How can you get around the made in China and then putting UK brand on it? And I think he came up with a good wording to use, like made with love in China, but done in the UK or whatever. I think that's quite important to put it on that spin, because I've had a couple of reviews that say, "Oh, I thought I was supporting a UK company, and I've since found out it's made in China." And it's like, so many products are made in China, but that still doesn't mean that you can't put and try and leverage off the UK angle. Um,
I've actually put on my product packaging as well, um, designed in Manchester, because I'm a
did
North.
you? I
Yeah.
like that. I like that. That's nice. That, yeah, that's good. It's getting even more specific and kind of getting actual putting specific towns that people might be from. One thing I do want to just add onto the screen for the guys, in terms of what a big part that I think has helped you to achieve success. Let me just put it on. Here we go. I can find. You guys can see that. So this is an article that I read today. I was just reading on Business Insider, and it was an article about successful people. And it says studies have shown that people that listen to others, ask questions, compliment others, and have a positive mindset tend to succeed. Now, for those of you that are active in the group, you know that Sam likes to ask questions, and she's very positive, and well, she's complimented me, so I guess that kind of that's the final one. But the main one I want to draw out is the ask questions. Look at this. This is the statistics from the group, and you can see that I mean, you would know this anyway if you're active in the group, but Sam asks a lot of questions, and he's very active in the group, and I think that that has played a big part in her success. And genuinely, it was a big part in my success as well. Like, as I've said many times, my Facebook is littered with Amazon groups. I'm very interactive, and I'm always seeing other people's stories and notes and things. And I'm not saying this as like everyone needs to just ask unnecessary questions, but I'm just saying that it does help play a part in your success. It helps kind of with your mindset, and it helps, I guess, you to just keep learning. Whenever you've got a question, pop it in the group, and you'll learn from it. So that's something I just want to show there. I mean, Sam, would you have have you got something to say about that, about why you're so interactive in the group? Are you interactive with most Facebook groups, or is it just me?
I think I probably ask the questions that sometimes people might think, oh, that's a really stupid question. There's a dead obvious answer to that. But I think with FBA, there's nothing obvious unless you know the answer. So I would just say, just always ask. Doesn't matter if it sounds as though it's a stupid question, because I've asked loads.
Yeah, no, not at all, not at all. No, no such thing as a stupid question with Amazon FBA. I can assure you, I've probably asked it at some point if you're asking it as well. So before we had this call, Sam and I were chatting, and I was kind of saying, like, did she think it was passive? Did she not? And she made a good point about COVID. So I'll let you tell the story, but maybe if you maybe I should frame the question of, do you think Amazon FBA is passive? Is it passive income? What's your view on that?
Certainly at first, I would say it's front loaded. You've got to put in the effort. You've got to go through the whole process of finding your product, developing your product, all of that. And that all does take time and effort. There's no getting away. It's not,
Yeah,
it's not easy, and you're not going to make money overnight. You've got to put in the effort. But I think once you've got your product and it's selling, and you've kind of nailed your PPC, and you've got your daily routine going, it just kind of runs itself. I mean, I remember putting a post on saying how nice it was to just kind of get on with your day and just to
mm,
watch sales coming in. It's brilliant. As an example, earlier this month, I actually, myself and my two kids developed COVID. We were COVID positive. So for a good week or so, I was completely laid up on the sofa, but I could still have my laptop, go in, check my PPC reports, check the sales. So I would say absolutely, once you've got it up and running, it's as passive as can be.
yeah. And Sam, you need to be honest now. How many times are you checking your sales a day?
I just can't help it. 500?
It does
No.
become a bit of a reflex. I mean, I've managed to train myself now. I just don't look. But I know when I very first started as well, it would be when you wake up, when you get on the tube, when you get to work, all sorts. So are you still loving the rush that you get from checking your
Oh,
sales and seeing that you're making money in the background?
definitely. I mean, to get the 10K award and to reach that milestone was just brilliant. But there's nothing quite like that first week when you've kind of gone through this process with developing a product, and in your mind you're hoping that it's a good product, and you think, all your friends and your family say, yeah, yeah, it's really good. But
Yeah, yeah.
you start to sell your product organically, you're thinking, do you know what? Of all the products out there, somebody's chosen mine. And that's a brilliant feeling when you first sell those first few products. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and I mean, especially at this time of year, because probably most of the sales that you're going to be getting now are for Christmas presents. So, when Christmas Day comes, you can feel, really good that there's people out there in the country opening your products, and they're like, "Oh, wow, thanks for this." It's an amazing feeling, and in some respects, it's better than actually making the money. I don't know if that's just me, but okay, so there's a number of questions flowing through. Keep them coming, guys. I am going to come to the questions. I have got a list here. I'm kind of looking at the questions coming through, so I'll save some of my questions for you guys. Um, let's cover one question I haven't seen so far, and it would be, what do you think has been the key to, like, your success overall?
um Obviously absorbing all the knowledge so that you know how to tackle the process, not getting too overwhelmed with it either, because I think at the start of the journey there is so much to learn. And I
Yeah,
think for me, I broke it down and just tackled each bit one stage at a time, made sure I did something every day, and just enjoyed it. It
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
it doesn't feel like an effort to me. It's something that I'm enjoying. something that I'm going to stick with. So I've got a limited company now. So from the start, I was like, I'm in this now. This is what I want to do. So,
Mm.
ambition wise, I want to try and find and launch a product every 6 months if I can do. That's my kind of personal goal now, because I've kind of gone through the process once. Hopefully, it wasn't a fluke, and I can
Definitely
find
not. No, no.
similar types of products that give me the same sort of margins.
Yeah, I think you made a really good point there, actually, which is just have fun with it. I think some people can kind of put too much pressure on themselves. I do calls with prospective students, and um, quite often I'll hear, "Do you think I can quit my job in 3 months? Do you think I can, make X amount of money and whatever?" And I have to kind of say, look, like, of course that's going to be possible in the long term, but if you're setting goals like that, unrealistic goals, you're going to get demotivated, frazzled out, and you'll just find yourself getting very frustrated with the situation. And, you know, I'm really hoping that with a lot of people, as it has with you, as it has with me, that this Amazon FBA doesn't turn into a job or whatever business that you hate. It's a hobby. It's something that you enjoy doing that at the same time is very rewarding. And, not just in a monetary sense, but just also in a fulfillment sense. Like, you've created something that people out there in the country want to buy, and hopefully you're going to be able to scale into shops around the country or whatever. So I think that's a key one, not kind of putting too much pressure on yourself and beating yourself up. Everyone's got, their own commitments, their own things in the background. And, that's something that I kind of had um, fed back to me. People love seeing other people's progress in the group, and they've loved seeing your progress because I guess they've seen you go from nothing to being a full-time seller. But then I've had other people say, "Oh, it just makes me feel really bad because Sam's steaming ahead and doing all this, and I'm still product researching." And I kind of have to say, you can't compare yourself to Sam because you don't know like if she has other commitments, or you don't know what experience she already had that's kind of helped her with this. Like you even said, your project management has helped you spin different plates and all things like that. So that's kind of my take home point is don't compare yourself to others. Just concentrate on yourself, your own development, and just have fun, enjoy it, enjoy the
Definitely.
process. Okay, I am going to. I think I might. Okay, this is a good question for me, if I do say so myself. If you could go back to yourself in time, so day zero, when you just enrolled on the Smashers Academy, you're young and naive. Is there any advice that you would say to yourself, like Sam, don't do this, do it this way, or is there anything that you would change?
I think I just wish, in a way, I'd found it earlier in my life. Like I
Yeah,
know, there's some people like Grant who's very young, and I just think it's an amazing opportunity. The sky's the limit with it, and I just think I just wish I'd have spent more time. So I enjoyed my job. My
mm,
like Barclays, and then I enjoyed being an estate agent. But it was always for other people. Whereas I see this as something that, my daughter's 16. This is something that I can bring her into and
yeah,
teach her. And it's like you say, it's a hobby. It doesn't feel like it's work. There isn't the same. Yeah, there are stresses and pressures, but it's a business at the end of the day. So you've
yeah,
got to
of course.
respect that. But it's fun. It's fun. I
Yeah,
just
it is.
started it sooner.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So you wish you found my videos a bit sooner.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, yeah, I'm the same. I wish that it had been around when I was 16. I used to sell DVDs on eBay and queue at the post office, and in the end, I had to give it up because of uni. But I mean, I had a phone call with a 17-year-old a couple of days ago, and unfortunately, he wasn't quite at the right place in terms of budget. But I said to him, "You are so lucky that you are 17, that you've got this mindset already of wanting to create your own business and to make money online. So you can leverage your age and use it to your advantage, so that by the time that you're my age, you're probably going to be an owner of many brands and many products." So okay, what I want to do now, you've heard enough of me, it's time to open the floor. And guys, remember, keep them, don't be too hard on Sam. So okay, I'll just kind of pick out questions for Sam, and then if we have time, we can do ones that maybe Sam and I can answer if they're more specific. So let's have a look. Okay, what about this one? So you kind of referred to this already. Did you start as a limited company or self-employed initially? I mean, you've kind of said limited company from the start, but was there a reason that you went straight for it and created the company from day zero?
I think I knew it was something that I was going to commit to, and so I thought that I remember you'd said that it can be sometimes quite difficult to switch your account over once you've gone through the process of setting up as a sole trader. So I thought, no, I'm in this, I'm committed, I'm going to try my best to make it work. So I just
Mm.
went from day one, limited.
Okay. Sorry, I was just trying to. Okay, this is a good one from Carolyn. What would you say were the biggest challenges you hit, and how did you address them? I think very good question, because one of the key things about me is I want to, when talking about Amazon FBAs, I want to be as transparent as possible. So yeah, let's talk about some of the lows maybe or challenges that you
Um,
faced.
I think definitely PPC. I think the process of choosing a product and then going through the process of the suppliers and everything, I found that quite okay and quite straightforward. But then PPC, it was a little bit of a baptism of fire, in all honesty. That first 2 weeks, I was all over the I was all over the place with it. I was spending a fortune. Some days I was spending like £90 on PPC. My ACOS was going absolutely sky high, and I was thinking,
Bonkers, yeah, it does.
make this work. And through your support, going through the reports, just looking at it quite methodically, I managed to find a balance to think, right, this is what I can spend on PPC, this brings me this many sales, and you kind of just find your way through it. But that was definitely the biggest challenge those first 2 weeks, because I'm naturally quite competitive as well. So, I wanted to rank. I
Mm.
wasn't happy to sit on page 7. So I was like, right, I need to bid higher, and I was bidding, ridiculous amounts, £2, £3 on keywords. And by, 9 in the morning, all my budget had gone. So I remember speaking to you saying, should I start pausing it and playing around with it? So definitely PPC was by far
Yeah,
the biggest
it,
challenge.
I think that for a lot of people will be one of the most challenging parts, probably after the product research stage. It's very difficult to get into the mindset that it's just marketing. You're paying for data, paying for information to learn what works. And I think the thing that helps it for me is when you think about every other business out there, how much money they spend on advertising, in order to get their name out there and things. So yeah, that's definitely a lot of people's biggest challenges, and I think including myself when I first started. Okay, Celine is asking, did you have someone do your listing? Do you use videos?
No, so I did my listing myself. I had a photographer over in China who did my photographs. But then some of the photos, they weren't like just 100%. So I did reach out and used Ella, who works with Janssen, to just kind of improve and enhance some of my photos. But no, the listings, I did the listings all myself.
And have you got any plans to, because I think we spoke about it briefly. I think it was you that told me about the video point, actually. Are you planning on getting a video made?
So I'm just going through the process now. I've just applied for a trademark for my brand. So I think I'll go through brand registry, but
Do that
definitely
first. Yeah, yeah.
it's something that I think makes you stand out from the crowd. So yeah, it's definitely something I'm going to look into.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Georgina's asking, were you ever hesitant? And if so, how did you overcome it?
I think once I'd made the decision to pay for the course, because like everybody, it's a lot of money to outlay if you're not sure that this is what you
Hmm.
want to do. So I think once I'd made that commitment to actually pay for the course, I was like, this is, I'm going to try my very best to make this work and make this something as an income for myself. So no, I don't think I was hesitant really. I decided I was just going to just go for it.
Yeah. I suppose it's less hesitating and more just trying to get yourself as comfortable as you possibly can over the product you found. And that's the reason why the course in the judging if it's the one module is so detailed because it's just designed to kind of get you to ensure you thought of everything. And as I said, and as you mentioned, there's no perfect product. You're never going to find something that ticks everything. It's just about, can you get yourself comfortable where you're like, do you know what? I've done as much as I can. I've thought of absolutely everything. And I think on balance of things, this is going to do well. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and I think I found some products that some of them I dismissed because they just didn't stack up. But then there was a couple that I thought, I really want to sell these products because I liked them and I kind of got a little bit attached to them, but they just didn't stack up. So you kind of
Yeah.
have to, you've got to kind of put your business hat on and think, no, they're not going to work. Let them go.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So Lynn is asking, how much did you modify the product, or did you just modify the packaging?
So I didn't really need to modify the product a great deal. I added my brand onto the product so that it's clear that it is my brand. But then I did provide quite luxury packaging because it does come with a box, and the box is something that kind of can stay with the product. So I was quite conscious to make it look like a premium product because there is quite a range within my product niche of prices. So I thought, why would customers buy my product when they can buy it a lot cheaper? And that's kind of one of the reasons why.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned this when we were chatting earlier. I've seen in your reviews people have commented on that, said I like the box. So it does work. It does pay a lot of dividends.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't see who this is, but somebody said, Sam, on your branding of your products, did you have someone to help you with it?
So I developed my own logo, and then I used somebody on Fiverr to create the logo based on my ideas and design. And then I just worked with my supplier. So they kind of developed the template for the box, and then I kind of played around with it with colours, and I used the Pantone scale so that I could convey exactly what colour and shade of colour that I wanted it to be. So yeah, I've got a really good relationship with my supplier. So they kept sending me back the proofs, and I was just amending it. So it was kind of like a bit of an evolving process, really, with the supplier.
Yeah. Was it you I was talking to that wanted to buy a Pantone book off eBay? Or was it
Yes,
Taylor? Was it
yeah,
you? I thought it was. And it
they
was
were,
like 200 quid.
yeah, really expensive, but we got there in the end with the
Yeah. So just for the benefit of the group, a Pantone basically just refers to the color of paint, or the type, like the mixture in the paint. And you guys will find this out when you start developing the brand. When you have colors on your brand, you want it to be exactly reflected on the real life thing. So I think Sam had a certain color on her logo, and the logo didn't quite have it on the packaging; it's slightly off. So you were looking at Pantones, which is basically every single color you can get, and you can buy one of these books that contains every single color that exists. It's about that thick. It's about 300 quid.
I didn't buy it.
No, we got there in the end. Okay, cool. So, Christian, good question here. So, do you plan to launch another product? And if yes, is it going to be like within the same brand, I guess, or completely different?
So I'm quite lucky. My product is scalable, so I can introduce additional products within the same sort of range. So that's something that I'm looking at. But what I'd like to do, so my like personal goals, if you like, is every 6 months I want to try and find and launch a new product. So not necessarily within the same niche. I'm not particularly looking to, just build one brand. I'm happy to look in other niches as well. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. Absolutely. I mean, there's no reason that you need to stick with an existing brand. If you find a good opportunity, it's a good opportunity. But I think it generally does make sense to start looking closer to home. If you've got traction in one specific niche with one product, and
yeah.
your supplier can provide you with another product that is also selling well, then it makes sense to do some good consideration on that too. Okay, another Facebook user, anonymous. What was your budget when you started FBA?
So my first order was for 1,000 units. So I placed my order just before Amazon brought in the 200 limit. So I was like, oh, flipping heck, 200, and I've just placed an order for 1,000. And it was £3,500 worth of stock to begin with. But then I was mindful that I needed to use money for PPC and things. So I probably had about £5,000 to play with. But then, because my stocks had started to sell, I was then mindful, thinking I'm going to need to place another order. And so that £5,000 was eaten up quite quickly. So I had to then bring in more money to place another order. So I would say probably about 7,000 is
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. I'm just looking. Sanjay's written quite a big question that might take up too much. Could you, I'll put it on the screen. Well done on your journey. I'm at the process of looking at samples to order. Could you give some insight into which suppliers that you proceeded with going ahead ordering suppliers with prior to placing an order? So I guess maybe I'm just kind of trying to calculate the question. That is it. Kind of how did you decide on which supplier to use? Did you like kind of have a number of different suppliers and it was very hard to narrow down, or did the samples make that a bit of an easy job for you?
I think it was a combination, really. It was so probably two or three of the samples, there probably wasn't a lot in it, but then it probably came down to how well the relationship was with the supplier. So how responsive they were to my questions, how willing they were to work with me. And I think, I was very lucky. The supplier that I've gone with, they are very responsive. So I would say the supplier relationship is really important, because
Yeah.
you get to a stage like myself, where you need the help from your supplier. So, I know some people have the attitude, treat them mean, keep them king kind of thing, but I've definitely not found that with my supplier. Um,
And
she's been,
yours has been pretty good, if I recall. Didn't you? You said yours product was on a truck in the middle of wherever, some desert, some Mongolian desert, and it got blocked because of COVID, and they managed to source you new products, units or something.
yeah. So yeah, absolutely. So they pulled 200 off another supplier, another order, to be able to help me out and get them sent by air. So yeah, it definitely pays to kind of nurture that relationship. I'm not quite at the tail end stage where I'm sending flowers and chocolates yet, but
It's a trick that Taylor pulled off very, very well.
yeah.
And you're fortunate, actually, Sam, that I know most of the people's products in the group. Because imagine if you had pulled someone else's product in order to get yours, and they were like, "Jansen, my order's suddenly delayed." I'd be like, "Oh dear." Uh, so okay, yeah, great. I mean, yeah, we spoke about this before. The supply relationship is key. Again, I'm not sending chocolates and flowers to mine. I mean, it's a guy. You'd probably think that's a bit strange, but I chat with mine all the time on Skype. Like, I really, really want to go over next year. Actually, I don't know if anyone else in the group fancies it. Could do a little smasher trip to China. But I think it'd be a great opportunity to bond on the relationships with suppliers, get more favourable terms, etc. So yeah, I agree. Relationships very important. Okay, so we've got a question here from Hader about making a lot of progress, and then just I guess what did you kind of have on in the background in terms of job and other commitments whilst you were doing FBA?
Yeah, so I was quite lucky. My job working in the estate agents kind of came to a natural end. Sales had really slowed down. We went into lockdown. And so I did have all of that time during the first lockdown, to kind of put into the FBA research. I've got two kids, so they're, my priority. I've got to make sure they
Yeah.
get stuff. I do have a partner, but I am a single mum. I'm a widow. So, my kids are my responsibility. So, FBA is my day job, as well as being, full time mum to two kids. So it just works for me.
Brilliant. Okay. We've still got quite a few questions. So, guys, I'll just say if you've got any final questions, just submit them now and we'll get through. I mean, I've got a bit of extra time and Sam has as well. Okay, so we've got another anonymous. What's your daily routine, minute by minute?
So I get up. No,
I
first thing
check
that
my
I
sales. Check my sales. Don't forget that
check
one.
my sales. Always check my sales. That's the first thing that I do when I wake up is check my sales because invariably there's always, 3 or 4 sales that have come in overnight, which is brilliant.
Overnight. Yeah.
Yeah. Check my PPC report just to see what keywords are converting, to see if there's any that I need to add to the negative, any that are costing me money that are not then converting. Check my stock levels and go into my spreadsheet and update that with my sales, look at what my ACOS is, look at what my TACOS is, and just really just stay on top of all the business admin
And
really.
do you do that every day then? Do you feel the need to do that every day?
Yeah, it's such a it's such a quick job. I go into the spreadsheet, the tracking spreadsheet, plug in all the information from the day before, then I
Yeah.
go into the PPC report. So it's a 10-15 minute job.
Yeah, you can make it very, very quick. Then you do a little dance when you see the profit you've made, and then you crack on with your day.
Yeah. When you see that nice low TACOS to be less than 10%, it's great.
Yeah, I must say, Sam, I think another kind of reason to your success is you're so into the numbers when you just quoting margins, TACOS, ACOS, just mid sentence without even thinking about it. I think you're very on top of the numbers. It's a good thing to have. Okay, Georgina again is asking. So, how do you stay positive and keep going? I guess talk about the mindset and getting rid of distractions.
Um, I don't see this as a job. I see it as a hobby. So it's not something that feels like a chore. And so it just kind of works around everything else that I've got going on in my life, the same as everybody else. Everybody's dealing with troubles and issues and the pandemic and all the
Yeah.
restrictions that brings. But I think the fact that we are still kind of all locked down, it gives us the time to actually put into this. So for me, it just works.
And did you, when you very first started getting into it, doing the research, were you like, right, between 6 and 7, I'm going to do product research? Or was it just kind of, with whatever time you had? How did you kind of
I
approach
think I'm
that?
quite lucky because my kids are quite self-sufficient. My daughter's 16 and my son's 11. And so, I appreciate if you've got little small children who, you've got to deal with them, put them to bed and bath them and everything. It can be more of a challenge. But for me, my kids are quite self-sufficient now. So it does allow me time. So my kind of routine is I'll get up, I'll get my kids off to school. Then when I get back home for 9 o'clock, the day is mine then to spend. So I tend to, because of the time difference with China, that's the time that I'll speak to my supplier
Yeah,
and
yeah.
do all of my daily admin. And then usually in the afternoon, by 12 o'clock, I'm doing other things. It's great.
Yeah. I'm just Georgina just kind of followed that up with asking about being overwhelmed, and Georgina, like you don't need to kind of think that that's just you. That's everybody. I felt overwhelmed with it, and if you think about it, it kind of makes sense because you're probably at the age where it's been a number of years where you've had to learn so much, i.e., school, that your brain's going into a bit of shock when you're seeing me flash up with lecture notes, and I'm going, "Have you done this? Have you thought of this? Have you thought of that?" And you're like, "Oh." So much information, so that's completely normal. But Sam, did you kind of feel it? How did you cope with feeling overwhelmed and feeling anxious?
I think I just kind of broke it down and dealt with each stage and like kind of chunked it up, if you like. So, the first bit was product research. So during product research, I didn't sort of think too far ahead. I was kind of getting my head around that bit. Once I'd decided on a product, I was like, right, now I need to think about how I'm going to brand it and package it. So I didn't kind of see the whole FBA journey as this big mountain to climb. It was all little stages, really.
Yeah. Yeah, little and often, and breaking it up. That's one of the reasons I put together the cheat sheets, and I've done the 5 steps just to kind of help you visualize where you're at. Because I mean, that's what helped with me. I was like, okay, I need to complete this stage now, and then when I've done that, I'll move on to the next one and the next one. So I think you may have referenced this already, but in terms of your earning income, so Amazon FBA, you do that full time now. Is that right?
Yeah, so the plan always was that this was going to replace my income. Um, but that's kind of not really happened yet because I've had to plough any profits back into the business so that I can buy more stock. So I'm not quite at the stage yet where it's supporting me fully as an income, but I'm hoping that in a few months' time that's going to change.
Yeah, yeah, it'll come, and I've kind of done a video on YouTube on this before about the importance of reinvesting and compounding, and because at the end of the day, that's how you're gonna be able to grow. I started off with a relatively small investment, and after a year of plowing and plowing and plowing, I did £50,000 order, and that was only possible because I hadn't taken any money out. I kept, reinvesting and reinvesting. So, I would always advise that if you can, try and keep the money in the business as long as possible, and then once it's self-standing and you've got a number of products, that's when you can say, okay, I can, start taking dividends out. Okay, yeah, this is a good one. Have you got any plans to sell products outside of Amazon?
So recently I've created an Instagram page. So I'm hoping to drive more traffic through Instagram. Um, I've also got a few items that I sell through eBay because I found that my product was actually being sold on eBay.
Ah, yeah,
Much
I remember you
to
saying
my
that.
surprise, I was like, "Oh, how's that happened?" And so I'm selling. I've got a few of my products at home, so I do list them on eBay, and they do. I tend to sell about 4 or 5 a week, so not a massive amount. But luckily, I've got a
Gets rid
shop.
of them, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a shop across the road that I can do a Hermes collection. But it was only because I had a few units at home. It's not something that I'd like to do full time.
Yeah,
But the Instagram page is something that I'm looking to further develop to get
yeah,
some traffic through there because I don't know about everybody else, but I always see on my like Facebook lots of ads and things for the product that I sell that I think, oh, they must generate so many sales through that method.
yeah, yeah. I think I've been pleasantly surprised actually at a number of guys in the group that have made up Instagram accounts, and some of them have got more followers than me. So I don't know what that says about my personal brand, but okay. So let's just have a look now at what else we've got. So I'm just going to kind of pick some of the ones that we haven't really referenced much. So apologies if I miss you. So Lena's asking, this is just a general Amazon question. When I upload images from a product, it's in a different order. You're probably looking at the top section of the page, which Amazon reorders, but doesn't actually impact the listing. So provided it's in the right order on the listing, you're okay. What about this one? This is a good one. So did you find several products and then went for your favorite one? Or did you kind of find this one and was like, this is it? And then was it something that you found that you've had to use, or just an idea that you've fallen in love with?
So I wouldn't say it was my favourite product because I had to dismiss my favourite products because I just couldn't see the margin. So for me, the reason I went for this product was because I felt I could make it work and I could get the best returns financially. So it was purely a decision based on the finances, I would say. My product appeals to men and women, so I wasn't kind of limiting my audience, which I think is something that I'll consider next time.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not seasonal, it's something that people would buy all year round. And so I guess all those kind of factors went into the decision of going with that particular product.
Great. This is a good one from Andrea. Do you spend much time customer service, feedback, chasing feedback, reviews, or have you kind of got it under control? I think you use Helium 10, don't you, for that?
Yeah, so I used Feedback Whiz to begin with, and then I used the free trial, and that worked well. But then because I already pay for Helium 10, I switched to use their follow-on sequence, and it works really well.
Yeah.
I think I'm up to about 47 reviews now on
Nice.
yeah, on my product. I did actually get my first negative review last week, which I was gutted. I got a two-star review.
Scumbag. Scumbag.
Yeah.
Was it a fair one, or is it someone saying?
I
Christmas present haven't opened, which I've
think,
had.
I think they were a bit. I think they were a bit unkind, really, because it's the only 2-star review I've had. All the others are, 4, 5-star.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels a little bit personal when you
It
get
does, it does. I mean, my girlfriend had said, "Stop taking it so personally," and I'm like, I can't. If we're watching TV and I get a 1-star, I can't concentrate. I'm raging, and I'm like, "Why would you do that to me?
yeah,
Why?" So,
you
it does.
wounded
It
me.
does. Yeah, yeah,
No, it was a one-off, but I don't really, other than the follow-up sequence, I did have a customer message me to say their product hadn't arrived, and so I did kind of get involved in a little bit of a communication with them to say, look, I'll give seller support a call, and then gave them the contact numbers and just work with that particular customer.
yeah,
Um, I don't really deal with customers at all, other than um, through the follow up. The only other thing I would say that I have to do, which everybody's going to have to do, is if you get a sale through a business customer, I have to upload an invoice. But there's loads of templates on Google that you can
yeah.
use.
It doesn't take much time, does it? Okay, so Peter's asking, have you got any maybe just a quick bit of advice for someone struggling with product research? Maybe just a quick tip.
Product research, without a doubt, is it is difficult because you just got to go through the process and just I would say just don't look for something that's perfect. If you think in your, if you've got a bit of an instinct to think, I think I can make that work, maybe take a chance on it.
Yeah,
Like Jan said, the spreadsheets and the analysis, it is quite conservative. So if the margins are kind of there or thereabouts, I would say, just take a risk, go for it,
yeah,
take a
yeah.
small order and just
You're
test
going
the
to
market.
have to make the leap of faith at some point. So it's just provided that you're comfortable and you feel that you've
Yeah,
done everything you can. And again, if you want second opinion, use me. Like that's one of the main parts of the academy. I can say you're being way too conservative here, or that's actually a really good idea. Like go ahead. So yeah,
yeah,
use the community as well. You can post something in the group. You don't have to reveal the product, but you can say, guys, what do you think to this? Do you think this differentiation idea would work well? That again, we've got a brilliant community here of many people. We've got 50 people watching now, all of whom know what Amazon FBA is, know how to make a good product, etc. So leverage each other, leverage the network that we've got. It's going to really pay off in the future when we can all meet up in London. We're all going to be nerds talking about all sorts of boring things to do with Amazon. Okay,
your
so
tacos, nice.
yeah, yeah. No, I don't want tacos. I want tacos. So, okay, Martin saying about trademark. Did you do that yourself?
Yes, I did. I went through the process on the government website and I made sure that I understood what my category was, because once you create your trademark and select your category, you can't then change it. So I was quite careful to make sure I was in the right category, and I applied, and it was quite straightforward. I would have
Yeah,
no
I found
hesitation.
that as well.
Yeah.
Trademark Eagle charge like £1,000, which is just a
Wow.
joke. I mean, it's not too difficult. Okay, Teodoro is asking about the price. So, I mean, what you could also reference if you're not comfortable with that is what about margin, profit margin before PPT?
Yeah. So the first month, well, the first half month, because I started on the 16th, I was still in profit, but my margin was 15% because I was at that stage in the first 2 weeks playing around with PPC. But then during month one, so during October and November, my profit is at 28%. So pretty decent profit margin.
Very nice indeed. Okay, what else have we got? So you're just in the UK only at the moment, aren't you? And I guess I've got a video. I filmed it today coming on Brexit. I'd advise to stick with the UK for now until a bit further down the line. Let's have a look else. Sorry, I'm just conscious of time. Yes, I did just release a video. I filmed that today on investing. If you guys are interested in investing any savings you've got as well, I'm also branching out be on my beloved Amazon FBA. Um, sorry, I'm just trying to skim past. You've got a lot of compliments here, Sam.
Aw.
You can come through these. Maybe if you come through these after the call and answer any comments that maybe I've missed. So, do you have an accountant at the moment?
Yes, I've got an accountant. I've not really done a great deal with her other than just to say, is there anything you need from me? So at the moment, I'm just logging everything on the spreadsheet, which is Jansen's spreadsheet, so that any expenses I've got a record of.
Yeah, including the course, you can claim that back. That's tax deductible. Make sure you do that one.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got Nicole. How did you know what price to sell the product at? And did you do your manual product tracking?
Yeah, I did. So I knew that my product, there was quite a range. So, you can buy my product as cheaply as £7 and then it goes right up to £30. So I knew that I wanted to be more in the top end, but I wanted it to be at a price point where people don't think about it. So it's still a bit of an impulse buy. So I thought kind of around £18 was about the right price point, and it seems to have worked well.
Yeah, and I think again that shows the impact that a brand can have, because I've seen your product niche. Some of them just have zero branding and it's just awful, and they charge £7. And you've got yours, and you're very big on the brand and the UK angle, and the packaging and all that, and you're able to command a much higher sales price when effectively, it's cost price is probably very similar.
Yeah.
Okay, when someone wants to know when they can see the stock in M&S, I think M&S is probably a bit old school. We could probably
Yeah,
go a
that's
bit better than that. Um, yeah, this is quite a good one. So when you find the one that you're confident on, you need to focus on that and stop thinking about others to being distracted. Is that kind of your approach, or did you kind of do research in the background still?
I think once I'd found the product and I'd committed to it and I'd placed the order, it was then for me all about making sure that that product launched successfully. So I was then very much working on my listing, working with my photographer. So I didn't really have a great deal of time to think about other products. Whereas now my product is working well, and um, it doesn't take a great deal of effort. Now is the time that I am starting product research again and starting to reach out to suppliers and looking at trying to get some samples of things again.
Are you finding it easier this time, the product research, or I mean, are you more efficient at it?
I'm finding products relatively easily, but the difficulty I'm then having is the prices on Alibaba are not correlating to the prices that the suppliers are then giving to you. So I think
Yeah.
I put something on the group the other day to say, it's so frustrating because you've invested time to go through a bit of due diligence on a product. I think, yeah, I could make that work at that price for that MOQ. You reach out to them and then it's vastly different. So I don't know whether
Mhm.
it's because it's Q4, whether it's just a combination of things, the
Yeah,
pandemic.
it could well be. I mean, that's kind of why I say, when you're doing your research, whether you think it's a great product or not, I would always contact as many suppliers as you can. A, to get used to the process, because sometimes people get a bit overwhelmed about it and scared, and I guess back out of it or whatever. But also to get a feel for the different suppliers, the response times, communication, and also to see all the different types of pricing that you're going to get. And then I suppose you'll get a feel for it. The more you do it, you might say, well, the Alibaba prices are usually always off by 10%, so I'll adjust that and whatnot. But I mean, yeah, that point, it did surprise me actually, because I always found it the other way around. I found that they would quote a price, say minimum 10,000 units at this price. And then when I reached out to them, they would say, yeah, we'll do you the 10,000 price for 500 units. So it may be niche to niche or supply to supply or what, but you don't know
Maybe.
if it's right. You just got to reach out. Okay, Iman's asking, so about eBay, I guess were you able to utilize any of the data from Amazon? Or I think it works quite differently, doesn't it? It's just like I don't even know if you do keywords.
I just pulled in my listing really. So I just copied and pasted the same images and the same description and just put it on eBay a few pounds cheaper because
Yeah.
obviously not got the same level of fees and things. So yeah, it wasn't very much effort really.
Is that just returns that you're having through that you're putting on eBay?
No, it was so when I had the product sent to my home, I had, I think there was something like 693, or for some reason when I sent them into Amazon, I ended up with about 15 left over. So it's just like a bit of residual stock that I've got left over.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. So we're quite a bit over, and I've not eaten in ages, so I'm probably gonna have to probably have to drop now. But before we go, thank you for your questions, Lena. I've just seen yours about the investment question. That's just on my normal YouTube. Before we go, I want to show you guys this. So this is Sam's sales, just kind of again highlighting what is possible in a very short amount of time. So thank you very much, Sam, for your time. It's been fantastic to get to know you even more so than before. It's always nice to actually now I know you. Kind of feel like I know you now rather than just in the
Great
group. But yeah,
now.
exactly. And I have you on all the time. But as I said last time when I interviewed Simon, guys, I want to get each and every one of you on this. We're going to get you to the 10K mark. But you know, as Sam's referenced throughout this interview, a lot of it is on mindset, staying positive, and just getting yourself comfortable. Like you're never going to get to that position where you're like, do you know what? This is guaranteed 100%. I've made it. You're always going to have a little bit of uncertainty, and I guess that's one of the trickiest parts of it. But you know, that's the point of the course. That's the point of me, leverage Sam. You know, Sam's very knowledgeable now about selling, so feel free to message her with the questions. Before we go, Sam, any kind of final words? You're going to get emotional, start like
Oh,
tear dropping, or
shall I show you my award?
yeah, let's get the award on. Yeah, for sure. Awesome. I think one of the things actually you couldn't see in the picture is that it changes color. Can we have a little kind of tilt it? There you go, guys. I want to, you know, each and every one of you are more than capable of getting one of those bad boys, custom made with your name on. You can take it down to the pub when you are allowed, show it off to your mates, a lot. So, yeah, I really hope that you guys found this session useful. And if you do have any more questions, you can drop a question in the comment box and Sam or myself will answer. So, thanks very much for your evening, guys. Enjoy the rest of it. See you next time.